Dear friends, here from Surfside, things are terrible. Of course, you all know about the collapse of the building, many casualties, waiting to see Besoro Tolo to hear good things. Perhaps it will recover some people alive and well, Bezat Hashem. It's just so difficult to live the reality on the ground. And it's truly a crazy situation. However, the way the community is reacting, I say the community is the whole Jewish and non-Jewish community of the neighborhood of the 33154 is incredible. It reminds me of something that our Chachamim say. Maaseh Bereshit, the creation of the world, is one of the most fascinating subjects. And we could be talking about it all day long. It's fascinating. Some people talk a lot about before Maaseh Bereshit, before the creation of the world. What is God doing? What was God doing? What is God doing during his free time? Quote unquote, of course. It's a fascinating subject. But it gets to a point and you're like, but what is our role in this world? Is it just to go back to discuss, why God did certain things and the angels and the souls? Very beautiful. And people should know about it. And it's very interesting. But the purpose of this world is not to look backwards. It's to really focus on our mission. It's like if I would be discussing, with my boss, let's say if I work in a company, and I discuss with my boss someone else's job. At one point, the boss is going to say, look, why don't you focus on your job? And I feel the Jewish community and the non-Jewish community actually are so involved, but especially the Jews. It's Mamash Kiddush Hashem. I was speaking to the mayor a few minutes ago, and he was telling me that this is unbelievable. The response is of love and so much effort is made by the community, by this feeling of brotherhood. Everybody volunteering, trying to not only donate money for whoever may need, but the operation here is crazy. You have over 2,000 meals being made in the community center, in the kitchen of Mr. Ginsburg, and being delivered in the different centers where there are people and family members who are waiting, by the Grand Beach, by the Solimar's Hall, and by the Seaview. This is really unbelievable, and so much effort is being done, and so much ahdut is being done, and mamash kiddush Hashem, that the mayor and other people are seeing that the main players are the Jews, including an organization called Yedidim that is trying to put order in all this, and unbelievable, and almost like that feeling of we're doing our job. There are many questions that we all have. How could this happen? Architects don't understand, and everyone has a theory, an idea or question, and some have even conspiracy theory, and who knows if we're ever going to find out. It's almost like putting that on the back burner, and it's not really about that. It's more about, what can I do in this situation to help? My job as a human being right now is not to question God, is not to understand. It's more focused on what I can do to alleviate the pain of someone else. What can I do to be there for someone else? Behind the scene, in front of everyone is welcome to give a hand. And this is truly an amazing Kiddush Hashem. It's unbelievable the level of positivity that is in this neighborhood. At the same time, very, very sad feeling, of course, of what happened, and hopefully we could have some sort of hopefully it's really begederness. We're waiting for a miracle because almost a week later, and this is a very difficult situation. We are doing what we can, and really people came from all over the world, including the Israeli team, etc. But I would like to think of an idea that is a mix of a thought and a beracha almost. We've been living very difficult days, I think, since it's the beginning of 2020. We had the COVID, which was a global problem. Hopefully it's part of the past, but apparently we're not done with it. Right at the conclusion of the COVID, at least in Israel, when they reopened everything, they had a Meron disaster where 45 Jewish lives were taken away. Then they had the Hasidim stolen. and many more calamities, one after another. And this one now, the collapse of a building in a very Jewish area. It's really difficult to understand. And we have to analyze a mitzvah. It's called mitzvah tochacha, because God is speaking to us. God is speaking to us in these terms, and difficult terms to understand and to analyze. But we have to analyze. We can't just be silent. We have to try to make changes in our lives. But I would like to share with you an idea. We know that the mitzvah of tochacha, the mitzvah of rebuking one another, is a mitzvah min Torah. The Gemara in Masechet Erechin, Daf Tet Zayin Amud Bet, page 16b. The Gemara says, I quote, Minayin leroe bechavero davar meguneh. How do we know that someone who sees something not good in his friend, shechayav leochicho, he has an obligation to rebuke him. Sheneemar ochiach tochiach. Gemara continues and says, Yachol afilu mishtanim panav. Would it be true even if he has to embarrass him in order to convince him to change? Talmud Lomar, lo tisa alav chet. In other words, don't do that mitzvah of rebuking through a chet, through an avira. If it's going to need you to embarrass someone in order to rebuke him, then it's better you don't rebuke this person, because the mitzvah wouldn't come. This is the Gezerat HaKatuv, the Rambam in the 6th chapter of Ilchot Deot, the 8th halacha. Also, is posek halacha like this. He says a person, whenever lo yedaber lo kashot, you should not speak very hard to a person. Achiach limenu. The sensitivity towards another person is flagrant. It's very important. It's essential to the accomplishment of this mitzvah. There's actually a very nice story I remember from Yitzchak Elchanan Spector. Yitzchak Elchanan Spector was one of the beginning of the 1800s. At that time, they were recruiting Jewish kids from the yeshivas in order to serve in the Red Army in Russia. And it was very difficult situation, because they would take them for 20 years, and they would not come back even Jewish. Very difficult, observant, of course, in the Russian army in the 1800s. And so the yeshivas tried to get the boys off the hook. They shouldn't be enlisted in the army. And one day they were waiting on the fate of a boy called Yaakov. And that boy Yaakov, they didn't know if he was going to be enlisted or not. Anyways, to make a long story short, one day the rabbi, Rav Yitzchak Elchanan Spector, was also a dayan. He was one of the judges in the city, and he was sitting in Bedin when a boy comes in and says, Rabbi, this Yaakov, we just got the letter, he's free. He's not going to the army. Rabbi was so excited. He said, thank you so much. Just for this news and this Besorah Tova that you gave me, this good news that you gave me. I wish you to have a good, long life and to have berachot. Gave him a whole bunch of berachot. And the boy left. A minute later, another boy walks in and he says, Rabbi, Yaakov just got the letter. He's off the hook. He's not going to go to the army. The rabbi said, oh my God, this is unbelievable. Thank you so much for this news. Just for giving me this good news. I give you a blessing. And give him the exact blessing he gave the first one. And then another boy, and then another boy, and then another boy. And like this for a long time, all the boys who did not know that the rabbi already knew that Yaakov was free from the army. They all went back, and every single time he said the same beracha and the same beracha and the same emotion. And the other rabbis who were in the Medina asked him, what are you doing? You could tell me I already found out about it. Maybe you put a sign on the door. I know Yaakov is free. He said, no. You have to be keep the dignity of each person intact. They're coming, they think that they're giving me the besorah, I didn't know about it. Let them think that. I have to act with emotion, with respect of a person. I don't want anybody to be embarrassed. They walked into the Bedin. I already knew that the good news about Yaakov, I have to act. How sensitive one has to be with that. This is one aspect of the mitzvah of tochacha, of the mitzvah of rebuking. However, there's another aspect to the mitzvah of rebuking. It has to do with this a little bit, but it's a different perspective. And it's the perspective of Rav Chaim Volozhin. Rav Chaim Volozhin has a sefer called Keter Rosh in Siman Kuf Mem Gimel, which is the number 143. He says the following: someone who cannot rebuke gently Let's say you're a person very active, very passionate, very adamant, very into it, and energetic. And if you're going to go and start rebuking people, it will be harsh. So that person who cannot rebuke gently without hurting the other's feelings. The words it says are the following: Patur mitzvat hatochacha. He is exempt. He is free from his obligation to rebuke others. This guy has 612 mitzvot. He doesn't have 613. One of the mitzvot, they don't apply to him. The guy is, it's like if he's a Kohen, if he's not a Kohen, sorry. Well, the mitzvot of Kohanim, they don't apply to Israel. This guy, the mitzvah of Tochacha, does not apply to him. Why? Because he cannot do so gently. It's a very big chidush. And Rav Chaim Volin continues and he says, and even more so in our days, he's talking about his days, and I would push even more for our days, that people are more sensitive. People need things done be'ava. I always say that the job of a rabbi used to be yir'ah, has to be, used to be very tough through fear. These days it's through ahava. People are looking for friendship, for a deep connection. I think all rabbis should know that and probably do know that. But it's so important, that connection, that's really what people are looking for, to have an ear, to have somebody who could give an advice, or somebody who's sensitive to their problems. That's the ikar, right? That's the people these days are very sensitive. They're very meticulous into those things. The respect to others. It's very, very important. And therefore, says Rav Chaim Volozhin, all the more so in these days, people are very, very sensitive. The Torah is always sweet, but these days even more has to be done be'ahava. If somebody rebukes hard, he's patur mitzvat hatochacha. Rabotai, this is not just a little chidush in mitzvat hatochacha, but really has to do with this. It's more like a tefillah that I'm praying to God, and I hope you all join me in that tefillah. Is to say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Borei Olam, we know you're talking to us. But in this generation, people understand more in a sweet way, in the way to connect with the people in an easier way. But the way to do in a harsh way, people are not receptive. And therefore, my tefillah to Borei Olam is that there are other ways to rebuke us. There are other ways to wake us up. Please do so in a sweet way, not in a harsh way. These days, the Chachamim, Rav Chaim Volozhin and others, a posek halacha, someone who does a rebuke, that is strong, patur mitzvat hatochacha. So we beg you, Borei Olam, to go by that the tochacha should be soft, should be sweet, should be easy. And that way, maybe we're asking Borei Olam to connect through the sweetness of the Torah and the rebuke, but not the hard one. Zat Hashem, shiomar letzarotenu dai. May Hashem stop all the tzarot of the Klal Yisrael. Amen.